Let's see. Oh, okay. Oh, this is really interesting. This is from Rhode Island, and this is a representative in the Rhode Island State House who introduced a Day of Reason resolution, which is fantastic to see. And this is her announcing it in the chambers that day. This is Jennifer Stewart.
Representative Stewart, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. An announcement, please.
Please proceed.
Thank you. I bet most of you don't know this, but today, May 6th, is the National Day of Reason here in the state of Rhode Island. And the purpose of the day is to observe annually reason, critical thinking, and the importance of secularism in the United States. It's a day where individuals and organizations affirm the value of reason in public policy, civil rights, and civic life. And today in the State House, there was an observation earlier before session, and I'd like to introduce a couple of guests here to the chamber. Please, if you could stand, Brian Cardosa and Terry Sousa. These are members of the Rhode Island Atheists, and there are additional atheists members of the Rhode Island Atheists in the gallery. And they were here today joined by a host of other Rhode Islanders, secularists, humanists, and believers in recognizing the Day of Reason. So please join me in welcoming them and enjoy this Day of Reason and think about the scientific method. All right, thanks. All right.
That's a cute speech. That's awesome. Again, that was also around the time that they have the National Day of Prayer, and there are so many Republicans across the country who go all out in declaring that the government is for Jesus, et cetera, et cetera. So to have someone like Representative Stewart there saying that proclamation, talking about science and reason, which is not anti-anything, it is meaningful. It is purely symbolic, but that stuff is meaningful. I'm really glad the Rhode Island Atheists helped make that happen. And that was really uplifting to see. And happy birthday, Hulana. I did a story a week or two ago about the mayor of Winter Garden basically announcing a proclamation for like the Day of Prayer. And when an atheist asked him to do a Day of Reason proclamation, he refused to do it. And then a reporter asked him about it, and he started complaining about how some people have no respect for God. Well, here's a follow-up for you. That reporter went to the very next meeting to follow up on it, and she asked him point blank, are people who don't follow Jesus welcome in the city? And if you're anyone with one brain cell, you just say, of course they are, and you move on. And what did the mayor do? He would not answer the question. That's how bad this John Reese guy is. Absurd. But I do appreciate that the journalist in question, she writes for the website Vox Populi in Winter Garden. She asked him specifically, like, just make it clear to everybody when you issue these Day of Prayer proclamations that are very Christian-centric, please make it clear that you do not just represent Christians. And this guy refuses to do it. Unbelievable. This is exciting. From Jack Jenkins, wonderful religion reporter. You may have heard that Trump and Musk, for all their opposition to refugees and making life miserable for people coming from other countries, they're welcoming with open arms white people from South Africa. And apparently they were supposed to take in refugees, and church members were supposed to help them get acclimated or something. But the headline here, the Episcopal Church has announced it will end its partnership with the government to resettle refugees, saying they had moral opposition to resettling white Afrikaners from South Africa who have been classified as refugees by the Trump administration. They are not helping the Trump administration doing their white people only refugee resettlement stuff. So, I mean, man, good for the Episcopal Church for standing by their morals on this one, because not only were they working with the government to help refugees, they said, no, we totally know what you're doing here. We are not helping you pull this one off. And by the way, I wanted you to look at one thing. For a religion reporter, I love Jack, and I think his articles are fantastic. They don't always get a ton of traction, just like any article about religion doesn't always get a ton of traction. Look at how many retweets and likes this article had. From this screenshot that you have here, Den, we have 9,200 retweets and 25,000 likes. And I saw this mentioned on like news channels as well. This story broke through our circles and went mainstream in the way that a lot of people were talking about this, because yeah, here's a church standing up for its principles. They want to help all refugees. Trump only wants to help certain white ones. And they're like, we are not helping you pull that one off. Good for them. And they've gotten a lot of praise, by the way, the church has for that too. Just amazing job. And thank you to Jack for writing that article. What else we got here? Oh, this is cool. So I mentioned this last week, but the American Humanist Association is having its annual convention at the end of June in Chicago. I'm getting an award for media, humanists in the media. I forgot the exact name of it, but it's very nice. But they just announced this today, where the Humanist of the Year is Jelani Cobb, who is the Dean of the Columbia School of Journalism. He writes for the New Yorker. Yes, I will be there in Chicago. But this is such a cool announcement. I'm such a fan of his writing, and every time he does interviews on news shows. And basically, here's a guy who cuts through BS and pushes for a country where everyone is welcome. And that is humanistic. I honestly don't know what Mr. Cobb's religious beliefs are, but it doesn't matter. He is pushing for a world where people are judged for who they are, working to make the world a better place, fighting against irrational thinking and BS, which you see a lot of in journalism. And if you're looking for someone who represents the best of journalism, here's the guy that's not only doing it, but he's training the people who are the best at doing it. So just a really interesting decision by the AHA. And I'm super excited he's going to be at that convention because I love listening to him. This is such a weird story because I feel like I must be missing something here. David Hogg is one of the survivors of the Parkland shooting in Florida years ago. He eventually went to college, decided to get active in politics because he's fed up with gun nuts and all that stuff. And he's been a really good voice, as far as I could tell, pushing for real change among the Democratic Party. And one of the things he said recently is, if I want to change the party, you can't. And by the way, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has done this too. You can't just rip on the party from the outside. I mean, you can, but it may not be as effective as working to make the change from the inside. So AOC, for example, has really done this thing where she's becoming powerful within the Democratic Party, taking on leadership roles within the party and not just like lobbing grenades from the outside. David Hogg last year, he decided to run for the Democratic National Committee, and he became one of their, they have a few vice presidents. He's one of them. And one of the things he said is, well, he also has a political action committee that works to, that supports candidates who are progressive and working for change. And if that means there are moderate Democrats who are not lifting their weight or getting lobbying money, getting money from lobbyist groups that work against progressive interests, David Hogg is like, I don't care if they're incumbents. We're going to work to make sure better candidates beat them in the primaries, and then we're going to work our ass off to get them elected. Now, he's been nuanced about this. If there are some seats that, like, for example, just hypothetically, in West Virginia, if Joe Manchin were running for Senate and he's like the only Democrat that could possibly win that race. David Hogg, to my understanding, has been like, we're not going to target that guy. He can have the seat because we're not going to do any better than that. But in safe blue districts where anyone who's a Democrat could probably get elected, why would you settle for a shitty, moderate Democrat? So he said, I'm going to use my PAC to support candidates who are real progressives. And if that means getting rid of some Democrat that's been in power for many years, who cares? Let's get someone good in there. And I love that. And what did the Democratic National Committee do? They said, we're going to make you not a vice president anymore. And I think today they voted to like redo the vote so that maybe they can kick this guy out. Because the one thing the Democratic Party loves to do, besides shooting itself in the foot, is help incumbents even if they're not good at their jobs. So I don't know how this ends, but that's what this joke is supposed to be about. But if you want the party to actually attract more people and get good people who could fight for good causes, you need to get rid of the people who just think their job is being in Congress instead of using that platform to actually get shit done. So I don't know. It's frustrating that the only sane party is doing dumb things. I did enjoy this typo from the Christian nationalist Tony Perkins. And by the way, I know he made a typo because I think he deleted this one, and he fixed it later. But a clear majority of Americans do want their taxes to pay for gender transition procedures. Whoops, doesn't know how to read, so he made that mistake. I don't know where he's getting that number from anyway. I think if you ask people, do you think taxes should pay for gender transitions? Yeah, most people are going to say no because that sounds weird. But if you ask people, hey, do you think Americans should get health care for whatever the reason is? They would be behind it. So it just depends on how you want to ask the question. I happen to believe that trans people deserve health care too, because I'm a weird progressive. What else we got here? Is the gaff the giraffe thing? I don't get it. Oh, okay. This dude, do you remember this guy? Like right after the inauguration, this dude spoke at some right-wing summit. His name is Calvin Robinson, and he's a Episcopal priest or something. He gave a speech to a right-wing group, and he ended it with the Hitler salute that Elon Musk did like the day before. And then after he did it, the Anglican Church is like, dude, you can't do that. We're firing you. And they insisted, we're taking away your priest license, not because of the salute, not only because of the salute, but because you have a history of just pushing your politics into your job, and that's not what your job is supposed to be. And then recently, the Reformed Episcopal Church said, we're giving you a 1-year contract to work with us, because apparently this is the guy you want to redeem. And then just today, that same group said, oh, we're taking your license away. It turns out you've said some really crazy shit. So just like that, this guy is out of a job again. Here's a thought. Just don't hire this dude. None of you owe this guy anything. He's not worth your time. What are all these groups doing? This is also interesting. This is from Oklahoma Representative Mickey Dolenz, who said as a sitting representative, he got an email from the National Association of Christian Lawmakers saying, come to our conference. And what Dolenz is saying is NACL has been flooding my inbox with invitations to their conference at Liberty University. Why? Because one of the things they do at this conference is they hand out like, hey, in your state, here's a draft policy. It's already written for you. Go submit it so it can become law. And they all trade with each other. They're like, oh, you hate women too? I got a policy for that right here. Oh, you want to get Jesus into your school system? Here's a draft policy for you. And this is how they do it, state by state. Not just NACL, but other groups, other Christian nationalist groups, like Alliance Defending Freedom. They write up these draft policies. And that's why you see like 10 Commandments in the public schools bills everywhere, and released time in public school bills everywhere, because they all copy and paste from each other. And they all encourage Republicans to get this shit done in all of these states. And the more you could bring them together to trade ideas, the easier it becomes to pass these things in some states, no matter where you are. So he was pointing out, this is how they're getting this stuff done, which also makes me think like, okay, what's the secular equivalent of that? Because there needs to be one where good progressive policies can just make their way around the country in states where that could actually pass. The Heritage Foundation, as a commenter points out, the Heritage Foundation does this. Project 2025 is all about this. But yeah, it's worth keeping an eye on for that reason. I think there are some progressive groups, to be clear, that do something like this. They're just not nearly as powerful. And, okay, this is just amusing. There is a right-wing Christian nationalist state representative in Michigan. His name is Josh Shrivever. We have talked about him in the past. But Right Wing Watch apparently saw that he just released an album. An album. And the track opens with this line, and I'm reading it. Oh, yeah, you want to see me rapping? Okay. I just took some pre-workout. I guess that means that I should lift. That's not a rap. That doesn't even rhyme. I don't know what he's doing. But Right Wing Watch played a clip. And Den, go ahead and play this. Before you play it, what do you think this is going to sound like when a white Republican lawmaker who's not good at the lawmaking part, but is good at Christian nationalism, when that dude decides to release an album, what do you think it's going to sound like? I think Den is nice enough to put some lyrics over here. Let's listen to it while I drink my blue Gatorade.
I just took some pre-workout. I guess that means that I should lift. Faithfulness replaces doubt. In this life you'll have some dips. I can stop myself from doing what I ought not do. Self-control is what the Holy Spirit will produce.
You've got to call on your God. You've got to call on your God. You've got to call on your God. You've got to call on your God.
I'm not talking crazy, cracker the day like AV. Jesus came to save me, shout out to the AP. Get your credits done before you turn 18. Go to Ivy League, it's okay to read.
I might just have to go acapella. I might just have to go ahead and let it rip. What did you come to do? What did you come to do? Aw, shucks, you didn't have to bring any food. I've come to let it rip. We're in a predicament. We've all sinned. How can we make
How long are
amends?
you playing this, Dan?
Jesus died, then he rose again. It's not a lie. It's good news, my friend. The good news is the gospel, and the gospel is Jesus Christ. He came and he died and he rose again. If you don't believe, then I'm not really sure why, and I don't think that you could even have a good reason.
Listen, if this dude had any friends, they would not let him put this out. How? How is that a thing? Why would you do that to yourself? Why is that the way every Republican sounds when they release a rap album? Because he is not the only one who has done this. Oh my God, it's so bad. There was every time conservative Christians decide to put themselves, it's like Kevin Sorbo, like, I'm going to be a famous actor. It's like, please don't. It's never good. But it's also, there was a Christian right-wing anti-abortion lady from Ohio, forgot her name. She decided to make a sitcom, like a actual laugh track sitcom, and Right Wing Watch had that clip as well, and it was so horribly bad. Oh my God. Yeah, all of these, listen, I'll tell you what. If this guy, Josh Shrivever, if he left the state house and decided to focus full-time on his rap career, I would buy every album. If he stepped down from Congress. Like, I see this joke. But no. no, don't keep your day job. Your day job is the problem. The rapping is dumb. But go live your best life as a horrible rapper. You would not be alone. Please quit your day job and just do that.